ouais, j'étais tout petit. Au pire, je verrai les trucs si vraiment... Vraiment, voilà quoi. Alors, pourquoi j'ai un live split ici? Pourquoi j'ai un live split ici? Ah, c'était ça la scène... Ah bah oui. C'est ça la scène FF7 la dernière fois? Désolé, c'est un peu chiant, mais les règles, c'est tout le temps de la merde à faire. 5000 trucs. Et je trouve pas le live split. Oh, je l'éteins juste. Ouais, j'arrive, je vais faire pipi. Oui. Bah, let's go. Bon sens.
The following program is rated TV-MALV. It contains strong language and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hop là.
makes your PC a powerful tool.
And now they've even added an encyclopedia.
Awesome. I do my shopping at home, pay my bills.
And I can learn something new.
Prodigy now has a 21-volume electronic...
CBN's the only place to see Remington Steele.
I'm a man who enjoys impossible challenges.
It's one...
This morning, an earthquake at 4:31 West Coast time. Strong, jolting, and rumbling, it pushed its way through Southern California.
I also have to warn you as we begin this special report that what you're about to see almost defies description, and some of you may not want to watch it.
39 people in one house dead, and no one can explain why.
This is the body of the 20th
Merde, j'ai pas pris à boire.
a minister from Fairway, Kansas. It'll take a long time to get things back in shape. Some feel they never will.
Donc du coup ça peut aller de... C'est pas forcément des trucs paranormaux ou je sais pas quoi. Ça peut être des trucs genre... des trucs complètement réels quoi. Genre une meuf qui se fait écraser, genre je tiens un truc un peu au pif mais...
The year is 2020.
Alors...
A woman and her husband move into a duplex,
Oh putain,
sharing
les
the home
sous-titres.
with two other tenants, an elderly woman and her adult daughter. For the first few months, nothing seems out of the ordinary. In fact, they never see them, and not once do they interact. At least, until...
Musique de haute intensité.
This begins seemingly out of nowhere and appears to have no end in sight. Every single time they do this, their dog freaks out, causing their newborn to cry and causing the banging to only become worse. It's a constant back and forth dynamic, and things are quickly spiraling out of control.
Ah, c'est cool ces
The
maisons là,
cops
non?
aren't doing anything, the landlord is no help. And so, at their wits' end, they take to reddit.com to air out their grievances and to seek advice. At 11:09 p.m. on September 13th of 2020, a redditor named Peaches and Glitter ventures to r/legal advice to make a post titled, "Delusional neighbor bangs on the shared wall when our baby cries, and nothing can be done about it?" It reads the following. I live in a duplex in Washington State with my husband and my son, who is only a few months old. My father-in-law owns half the duplex and is renting it to us, and the other half is owned by an older woman and her adult daughter. My father-in-law has known the women for over 15 years and told us
Je sais jamais
before we
vraiment ce
moved
que
in
c'est un
that the
duplex,
daughter was
moi.
mentally ill and had strong delusions on occasion that caused trouble with the previous tenants. The last tenants apparently had to get a civil anti-harassment order placed against the daughter, but eventually moved out when the behaviors never stopped. Apparently, the neighbor accused them of kidnapping and abusing their children, and even abusing their dogs. My husband and I brought our son home a few months ago, and we didn't have any issues with the neighbor until about 2 weeks ago. She has begun banging on and throwing things at the walls when our son cries. She screams at us as well, but I usually can't hear what she's actually saying. You know, over the screaming baby, and the two dogs going absolutely ballistic because of the banging. It's absolute chaos, and it's made my postpartum anxiety so much worse. Every time the baby cries, I experience intense panic, waiting for the screaming and banging to start. We've called the non-emergency police line twice when I can't handle it anymore, and the first time they talked to her, and she stopped doing it as often. Maybe once every 2 days. Tonight though, she's back at it, and worse than ever. The air quality is so bad right now from the fires that I can't let the dogs out for long to stop them from barking. And the barking makes the baby cry harder, which makes the neighbor scream and pound on the walls.
Oh
harder.
l'enfer, t'imagines?
The officer I
Il y a une
spoke
bombe à
with says
retardement à
they
côté de
tried
chez
to get
toi,
a
quoi.
civil anti-harassment order placed, but he knew for a fact that her behaviors never stopped after the last tenants tried that, and he said his unofficial advice would be to live somewhere else.
Wow, lui casser la gueule à la vieille, genre.
We can't afford to move, but I can't keep living like this.
Ouais. Mec, t'as 2 clébards. T'as un enfant à protéger, tu montes une équipe. Vieille ou pas, t'y vas. Si elle est tarée, bah, tu fais en sorte qu'elle le soit plus. Et c'est tout. Donc soit tu lui fais très peur, soit tu casses les jambes, elle va à l'hosto un petit moment, peut-être elle comprendra. Soit force, déménage alors. Ça doit être terrifiant, t'imagines d'un coup. T'as quelqu'un qui arrive, qui défonce ton mur et qui crie comme une ouf, en mode possédé. Bah attends, le gamin il va être traumatisé, genre. Puis ça se trouve, elle va péter un câble et un jour elle va débarquer avec un couteau.
Unfortunately, this post went largely unseen by anyone online.
Ce genre de gens, soit il faut qu'ils aillent de manière clinique se faire soigner, soit faut les terrifier.
Suggested that the neighbor was merely banging on their wall because they were sick of the noise she was making. She's an owner, so you can't do anything. Your best solution is to properly insulate the wall against sound. From the other point of view, having a newborn baby in a shared dwelling is really shitty to your neighbors from the noise. Just as much as you don't like the pounding, your neighbors hate your crying noises and dogs barking. Maybe your neighbors can't handle the crying anymore. You should really look into soundproofing, or your neighbor could start calling animal control and CPS for all the noise you make. Stop blaming the neighbor when you're the one making all the noise. It's an interesting thought process. However, the perspective is entirely valid. They are responsible for half of this duplex, and there's really not much they can do about their distaste for a neighbor. As a matter of fact, that was largely the sentiment of those who did see her post. There's nothing she can do. And the matter was left at that.
Et pareil, genre, ça c'est un truc que je comprends pas. Vu que c'est le beau-père de la meuf qui a le truc, la deuxième partie du duplex, je sais pas vraiment ce que c'est, bref. Un duplex, c'est une série de plusieurs apparts, c'est ça? Genre, il savait qu'elle était un peu tarée et tout, non? Si les mecs avant, eux, se sont barrés à cause de ça. Le mec le savait, le beau-père. Il pouvait pas les prévenir. Il pouvait pas faire un truc par rapport à ça. En mode, ils se sont débarrassés de deux. Trop bizarre. Oh putain, ça doit rendre fou, hein. Moi, je sais, ma voisine, elle passe son aspirateur tous les 2 jours à genre 7h30, 8h du matin. Et elle claque au coin du truc. Un jour, je vais péter un câble, genre, je le sais. Je le sens de plus en plus que... Vous voyez le sentiment d'énervement qui monte, là? Tu commences à avoir chaud et tout, genre. Je sens que de plus en plus, c'est le cas, mais j'arrive à quand même prendre sur moi. Tu passes pas l'aspi à 7h30 du matin. Et tu claques pas le truc dans les coins des murs. Et je suis désolé, nous, notre coloc, elle est archi calme. On fait très peu de soirées, genre. Le seul moment où ça peut être chiant pour elle, c'est genre moi quand je suis en stream un peu excité à genre 20h, 21h et que... Et encore, c'est une salle de bain qui est collée à moi, tu vois. J'entends tout. L'eau, les tiroirs de la commode, les bruits d'aspi dans les coins. Wow.
My first post never got much attention, but the outcome was pretty
Wow.
wild.
C'est quoi ce plan là?
Short version. In October of 2020, my husband and I were renting in a duplex, where my father-in-law owned the half that we lived in, and a separate family owned the other half. We brought our son home from the NICU in August, and towards the end of September, the neighbor started to pound on the shared wall if she could hear him cry. The pounding escalated over the next 2 months. The neighbor bought a megaphone to yell through the wall and threatened to rip us apart. She called us child predators, and she'd yell obscenities and threats until 3 or 4 in the morning. The police were called multiple
Et si le
times,
plot twist c'était
and
ça?
nothing could be done about it.
Imaginez.
One officer told us, "I'm gonna kill you." See, it doesn't mean anything if I don't actually do it. The elderly mother hadn't been seen in several months, but requests for wellness checks
On
were
dirait
brushed off.
des yeux à gauche là.
The general advice
terrifiant,
that I
non?
got was that as renters, we couldn't do anything. It was also suggested that this was reasonable behavior since the crying baby was probably really annoying. Since my first post, we moved.
Ah, je les entends là. Ah non, c'est des gens dehors. My bad.
Moved in with my grandmother for her safety. The neighbor ended up busting a softball-sized hole through the shared wall to scream at us and occasionally just stare at us. The smell.
Bon, désolé, mais là vous êtes des. En fait, ça, je comprends. Je comprends qu'il y a des lois. Je comprends qu'il y a des trucs. Il y a plein de systèmes, de trucs à mettre en place. Mais imagine là. Elle est malade, elle est vieille, tout ce que tu veux. Imagine là, dans mon mur. Là, la meuf, elle fait un trou. Et elle m'insulte, ou elle me menace de mort, ou elle me regarde me branler, genre. Et toi, tu réagis pas. Tu fais un post sur Reddit. J'ai pas de pitié pour vous. Vous êtes des victimes, genre. Regarde, tu la prends comme ça. Tu dis, ah ouais, tu veux regarder? Ah ouais, tu veux regarder mon trou de balle en 4K, là? Tiens, le voilà, là.
The hole was indescribably bad. Our security cameras recorded her coming in my son's nursery window at around 2 a.m. almost daily, just staring and holding her cat. It took until the end of January for the police to be able to enter her property. And as it turned out, the elderly mother had been deceased since at least June.
Ah
And the
ouais.
daughter had the corpse dressed in her Sunday best
Ah, donc c'est pas la vieille, c'est la fille.
in a dead-bolted bedroom. The news article said the mother died from natural causes, and the daughter was taken to an inpatient psychiatric facility.
Mais je pense que je déménage quand même, en vrai. Sauf si j'ai la preuve que la meuf est morte. À l'asile, tu vois quoi. Eh, par contre, son montage, il me fait flipper. Ok. Il est trop fort en montage, ce mec. Il savait flipper.
I would be remiss if I didn't state the obvious, that fabricating stories online happens all the time and is remarkably simple to pull off. In the current online landscape, it almost seems like fake stories outweigh real ones by a large margin, incentivized by online notoriety in the pursuit of upvotes. There was something about this one, though, that seemed eerily specific. The premise was haunting, yet it seemed entirely legitimate.
Comme le truc qu'il y avait dans les chiottes chez ma mère. Je sais pas si vous avez déjà raconté. Je me demande si ce serait possible de retrouver une photo.
In January of 2021,
Faudrait voir dans des vieux, dans des vieux disques durs ou des vieux téléphones, mais sous la tapisserie dans la salle de bain, dans les toilettes chez ma mère, il y avait un dessin creepy, les mecs, genre c'était un truc de fou. Carrément, je sais pas si Clem t'es là, je sais pas si tu te souviens de ce truc. Carrément, au début, tu voulais pas aller chier chez moi parce que le dessin était trop flippant. En gros, ils ont refait les chiottes. Et bah ça a duré quelques jours du coup, tu vois, quand tu travailles, t'as pas le temps de tout faire toi-même et tout, bref. Et vraiment, il y avait un dessin d'une femme enceinte hyper creepy avec des flèches et des dates et tout, genre c'était atroce.
Authorities in the city of Richland, Washington made their way to the home of Peaches and Glitter in response to their 911 call. While there, they encounter a disgruntled 45-year-old woman named Angela Greiner through the hole she carved in their shared wall, and immediately notice an overwhelming odor. Because of this, they request to be let in to ensure everything there is okay, yet Greiner staunchly refused. For over a week, she wouldn't let a single soul in, no matter how hard law enforcement tried. However, what she was unaware of was that police were already in the process of obtaining a warrant, essentially permitting them access, regardless of her consent.
Ah merde, attendez, désolé, j'ai eu un... Bon, vous connaissez les réacts avec moi, parfois j'ai des moments d'absence.
The hole she carved in their shared wall. A disgruntled 45-year-old woman named Angela Greiner through the hole she carved in their shared wall, and immediately notice an overwhelming odor.
Okay.
Soul in, no matter how hard law enforcement tried. However, what she was unaware of was that police were already in the process of obtaining a warrant, essentially permitting them access, regardless of her consent. By February 4th, their warrants granted.
Mais bon, le problème des States, après je vais peut-être Peut-être avoir un avis bizarre. Pas complet, mais genre en fait, je pense que le problème des States, c'est le taux de criminalité qui est tellement élevé que du coup, les flics qui ont un petit truc comme ça, ils s'en battent les couilles. Alors que je pense qu'un truc comme ça en France, t'en aurais entendu limite parler aux infos, quoi. Peut-être je suis délu, mais...
67-year-old woman named Claudia Kinney was rotting inside their locked bedroom. She reportedly died from pulmonary emphysema and was believed to have been decomposing inside that home for nearly 7 months.
Boah.
As stated by the OP, Griner was taken to an inpatient psychiatric facility, and since then, there have been no further updates on her status or whereabouts. The duplex, to this day, still stands, yet now bears a reputation forever haunted by the grim events that took place there. The story in its entirety drives home the fact that you truly never know who's beside you, who's across from you, who is on the other side of the wall by which you sleep. For months, this family was unknowingly going about their daily lives with the human corpse just feet away from them and completely unaware.
Mais limite, franchement, je te jure, le cadavre de la vieille, c'est le dernier de mes soucis, genre.
Peaches and Glitter just wanted a home for their family.
Jure que... En fait, le problème, c'est que ce genre de truc, t'es marqué limite à vie, tu vois, quoi. En plus, si la meuf, elle est atteinte d'anxiété, genre... tu dis, ça se trouve, elle va sortir du... Enfin, moi, je sais que je suis un peu comme ça, mais...
Little did they know what they were getting into and what was waiting for them.
J'imagine, elle a... À cause de l'asile, elle est devenue un peu plus lucide. Voilà. Elle veut se venger. Merde, ils sont tarés les gens, hein, donc forcément. Ok, bah elle était super cette première petite histoire. Qu'est-ce que tu nous concoctes de plus? Il y a 5 chapitres, 6 chapitres. J'ai pas bien vu.
Leave the 911 lines open for real alert. For anything else, or directory assistance. Think before you call 911. Think before you call 911. Before you call 911. Before you call 911.
Ok. Et même les musiques un peu luminales et tout là, il est trop fort en montage ce bâtard. Hein. Il a vraiment de très belles images. Et s'il est filmé lui-même ces images là?
It's evening in Polk County, Florida. A 76-year-old woman named Loretta Pickard is home alone, asleep on her couch. She had just undergone hip surgery, so she was unable to move. However, her evening was just like any other. It's dark, it's cold out, and her home rests in a tenacious state of tranquility.
Putain, je regarde trop à gauche, est-ce qu'il y a un truc qui va passer devant?
At 7 p.m., Loretta notices that something is wrong. The smell of smoke awakes her. However, because she's disabled, she's unable to check what's causing it. During this, her husband was away with their grandkids, so she was effectively helpless in place. Meanwhile, the smell persists. Something is on fire. And so, she grabs her phone, dials 911, and explains to dispatch the following.
Ah, il a récupéré les trucs. Bah, je sais pas si vous vous souvenez, mais la dernière fois on a regardé la vidéo de ce mec. Une vidéo de ce mec, c'était genre pareil, on avait vu un appel téléphonique d'un mari ou d'une femme qui appelait les flics et genre il y a un gars qui voulait rentrer chez eux. Et au final, il arrive à rentrer chez eux et il bute quand même le mari. Et tu suivais tout via l'appel, c'était horrible. C'était un des pires trucs que j'ai entendu, je pense. Ah bah. Bah ça va être pareil, quoi. Désolé les gars, on va subir, hein. On est là pour ça, hein. De toute façon, ce sera pas pire qu'arrête Pokémon.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Pardon?
911, what is the address of your emergency? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I think my house is on fire. And I'm here alone, and I'm on a walker.
Okay. All right, I have a couple more. I just have a couple of questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, just to help the paramedic or the firefighters.
Hurry up.
Okay, these questions are not going to delay paramedics in any way. Okay, what type of building is involved?
It's a log house with a tin roof. But it's coming from the roof, I think. I don't know.
A fine?
Okay, I have help on the way, okay? These questions are not delaying the firefighters at all, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, I do have them coming. All right, I'm sending the fire department to help you now. Stay on the line, and I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
What should I do?
Okay, is anyone trapped inside the building?
Well, I'm inside the house. I don't even know if I can get out.
Okay. All right, I have them coming as quickly as possible, okay? How many?
It's just me.
Okay.
I mean, my husband's at the ball game, and I can't get him. I'll try his cell phone.
Okay, exactly where are you located? No, inside the home. Exactly where are you located inside the home?
Right now, I'm in the living room. The smoke's getting bad.
Okay, if it's safe to do so, leave the building, close the doors behind you, and remain outside. Do not try to put the fire out. Do not carry anything.
Et connasse, si elle peut pas, elle en dé...
Honey, yes, I wanted to. I'm on a walker, and I can't hardly walk.
Okay. All right, well, I do have them coming as quickly as possible, okay, so just let me know when you see them. Okay, where exactly is the fire?
On the roof, I think.
Okay. Okay, is
Elle
anyone
peut pas essayer de
injured?
déambuler quand même vers la porte? Je sais pas comment ça marche une opération de la ronde.
I can't get out the door.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I have them coming, okay? They're coming as quickly as possible, lights and sirens, okay?
Okay.
This back and forth continues for 15 agonizing minutes. Yet for this entire duration, help never seemed to come. Nevertheless, the fire seems to be growing. Where is everyone?
Oh, I see fire now.
Okay.
Are you here?
Yes, they're here. They're there. I'm letting them know exactly what's going on, okay? They are there.
Okay.
I promise they are right there. It's just they have to make their way into you, okay?
Okay, but they better run.
Ok, c'est chaud, hein.
Come in here.
Okay, stay on the line with me, okay? What's your husband's name?
Oh.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Redis-le encore une fois, je t'en mets une. Oh putain. Hello. Hello. Il y a une meuf, elle vient d'entendre crier, elle est en train de crever au téléphone, elle est là. Hello. Hello. Redis-le encore une fois. Peut-être qu'elle va ressusciter du feu. Tel le phénix. Enfin, je dis ça, mais la meuf...
The sound of flames engulfing the Pickard home.
Elle doit t'habituer aux catastrophes, mais bon.
Straight, with the dispatcher reassuring her the entire time that help is on the way. Little did they know, though, that on the other end of the line, there was no longer anyone there to hear it. Loretta Pickard, in this moment, and contrary to all assurances by dispatch, had perished in the fire.
Trop une folie. Hein. Et du coup, c'est quoi la cause du feu? Criminel? Criminel?
You wouldn't believe it, but for over half of this phone call, help was just a few short feet away. Firefighters were outside when she was alive and had every opportunity to save her, but didn't. That evening, there were unfortunately no fire hydrants anywhere near the residence, so the crew was left to utilize the reserves in their truck. Instead of putting out the house fire with Loretta trapped inside, however, the crew's captain, James Williams, used the entirety of the reserves to combat what he described as a forest fire behind the home. This, by default, nullified any potential of combating the blaze's origin, diminishing any possibility of saving Loretta at all.
Ok. Et la cause du feu?
In a case 8 on your side has been investigating all year long.
Barry.
Loretta Pickard died in her burning Lakeland home, pleading for help, but firefighters stood by and did nothing about it. Well, now her estate will receive the maximum amount of money allowed under state law. 8 on your side, Stacy DeSilva reports from Polk County.
Loretta Pickard's niece tells me the settlement does provide a bit of closure.
Since the incident, the Pickard family has undergone a grueling legal battle against the county, as in the weeks following the fire, it's been revealed that James Williams would frequently take Snapchat videos while at the scene of house fires. And allegedly, the evening of Loretta's death was no different. Even further, it's been stated by bystanders that little to no effort was made to get inside the home either, effectively leaving her helpless and alone to endure one of the most horrific deaths imaginable.
Imagine le mari, les petits-enfants qui étaient là et tout.
In the aftermath of this incident, the Pickard family has been given a $200,000 settlement from Polk County in response to their inaction. On top of this, James Williams has since been fired, and a void of heartbreak, loss, and despair has been eternally left in their wake.
Ah bah oui. Y'a personne qui s'en sort indemne de ça.
No matter how much money, how much action is and has been taken after this incident, nothing in the world can bring back a family member who lost their life during a moment of desperation. It was the day after Thanksgiving, a time engulfed in positivity. However, for the Pickard family, this day will forever be remembered as the last that they would ever spend with her. That fateful night, Loretta's husband James lost the love of his life. Their grandkids left a loving home that they would never return to. And their entire family had unknowingly said their final goodbyes to their beloved grandmother that they would never see again.
Oh putain. Ok. I see you. Le truc. C'est sûr que le mec dans son montage, il a mis... c'était quoi le premier truc? Stalking bizarre. Un truc de un peu déprimant. Là, ça va être un truc horrible en mode stalker, visage bizarre. Oh putain, je le sens bien.
Do not hang around the restrooms. And if you see any of your playmates about to get into trouble, get help from a police officer or someone you know. You not only have to look out for yourself, but for the little children who don't know any
Oh, il y a une
better
tête.
and can't understand that some people are sick in the mind.
Ça va être terrifiant, je pense. On est sur un truc là.
In 2018, a YouTube channel was born. It's named Vera Koroteva, and over the span of less than 1 year, they'd upload over 1.4 thousand videos to the platform.
Oh.
Within them, we're able to observe the inside of an apartment occupied by what seems to be a family. And to be honest, not a whole lot seems to happen. They spend a ton of time watching TV and lounging around. And at first glance, it seems like this channel might be nothing more than an archival page run by them.
Putain, beaucoup d'efforts pour pas
Now,
grand chose quoi.
This would make sense.
Genre des gens font ça.
There's one small problem.
Et si je mettais ma petite journée sur YouTube? Ah, ça s'appelle un vlog en fait.
This isn't Vera's only camera.
Ah mais il utilise... C'est de quel jeu qu'il utilise les sound effects? C'est pas RE, je pense pas.
This channel, Vera Koroteva, is likely run by not the tenants, but their landlord. And they've got eyes
Everywhere.
everywhere. Taking a look at the details of Vera's videos presents some eccentric discoveries. For instance, their titles regularly reference names like Putin and Hitler, and often use incredibly abrasive language when referring to their residents and the police. Furthermore, in their descriptions, they can also be found going off about useless drunkards, housing the disabled, and something about smoke. But out of everything, the video that really made me realize that something is off here came with their upload from the 26th of October 2019. It's simply titled Water Supply Repair, and at first glance, it seems ordinary. Upon translating the description, though,
Excuse-nous le Mac.
we find
Oh putain, il va enterrer un cadavre.
this.
Tout le temps peur qu'il m'envoie un screamer à la gueule. Le pays en question de façon. Oh putain. Terrifiant.
I'll be honest with you. I've tried to read through this multiple times to glean any sort of logical flow in their wording, but it doesn't make much sense at all. From what I could gather, though, Vera seems to be furious at a judge. They then go forth to discuss legal documents that I believe they requested, and then fantasize about killing them by cutting the judge's throat with a razor. It's incredibly disconcerting, and regardless if the tenants even know that they're being watched, what I do know
Je déteste quand ma cam elle fait ça. Parfois. Ah mais non, mais je suis trop con, putain, c'est à cause de ma... Oh le débile. En fait, parfois j'ai l'impression que ma cam elle... En fait non, c'est avec le verre, enfin ma monture. En faisant ça, ça... Bref. J'ai vu un truc... Okay.
And regardless if the tenants even know that they're being watched, what I do know is that they are, without a doubt, completely unaware of what's going on in these descriptions. For over 4 years, this bizarre channel has sat like this, completely untouched and unnoticed by the broader internet. With this, their backlog spanning thousands of videos are public.
Petit jeu. Vous tombez sur ce genre de vidéo. Genre, admettons, vous avez une suggestion, vous tombez sur ce truc-là. Oh d'ailleurs, mon feed va être rempli de plein de trucs bizarres. T'es là, t'as une curiosité un peu qui pop. T'as un lien qui fait d'une vidéo comme ça qui pop sur ton feed. Tu cliques, tu vois, tu constates et tu vois que toute la chaîne, elle est remplie de ce truc-là. C'est quoi votre réaction et qu'est-ce que vous faites? Je te jure que, 1, je flippe, et 2, je reporte de ouf le truc. Nique sa mère, si c'est un RG, je m'en bats les couilles. Mais c'est terrifiant. Je suis terrifié.
That the very person who owns the building they live in is broadcasting them to the world. Today, Vera Koroteva stands as an eerie look into the incredibly bizarre behavior of a peeping landlord.
Et par contre, il y a des gens qui sub à ça. Hein. Vous vous rendez compte ou pas? C'est-à-dire qu'il y a des gens qui regardent ça, ils sont en mode « Ah, j'ai hâte de la prochaine vidéo, quoi. »
I have absolutely no idea what compelled this person to do this, and even more so, what caused them to abandon their project completely. If the upload rate wasn't enough, they appeared intensely dedicated to their cause, as not only were there security camera videos,
Ça fait tellement Outlast.
but also uploads containing phone calls, conversations, and even trips to real-world locations.
Ah mais putain, il n'y a pas que des caméras CCTV.
Stopping me in my tracks, though. Unfortunately, deciphering any of this has been ultimately futile. By the off chance any of you watching can speak or understand Russian, I am incredibly interested to learn more about why this channel exists and what exactly they are doing. Who are these people? And why are they here? Why do the cops constantly pop in? And what are they looking for? Most importantly though, why the hell is all of this public? And who in the world is Vera Koroteva?
Oh, je suis deg. Putain, j'aime pas... Oh, il y avait moyen d'avoir vraiment une séquence de ouf là. Dommage, mais c'est terrifiant quand même.
The goal of this video is to make you aware of the potential for differential pressure situations. The key is to recognize them beforehand and make sure you are prepared to deal with them. Because when it's gotcha, it's gotcha.
Bon, quand il t'attrape, hein, petite traduction, hop. Je suis américain. Je suis américain. In trouble? Pas du tout. Ah. The Deep. The Boys. Le bouffeur de cul aquatique, quoi. Oh, on va se faire chier avec un truc dans l'eau. C'est bon, on sait qu'il y a plein de créatures immondes dans l'eau. Oh putain, c'est long en plus ce segment.
Back in February, we discussed the unquantifiable horrors of the ocean. Earth's greatest enigma.
Les sous-titres.
An entire biosphere not made for us.
Ils sont plus activés
One
depuis tout à
of
l'heure.
humanity's greatest mysteries has always been exploring the far reaches of the deep sea. And, in a way, much of what's in it is completely alien to us. The peculiar thing about the ocean is that it makes up the vast majority of the planet we live on, yet stands so painstakingly inaccessible to humanity. The potential for death, freak accidents, and disappearances are so exponentially high, all spawned entirely by the mere nature of the ocean's environmental medium.
Bon, les Subnautica à Brège là. Je dis ça, mais ça va être le meilleur truc de la vidéo, mais je pense pas.
In February of 2022, 5 divers are commissioned by a fuel trading company named Peria to perform maintenance on an oil pipeline. Located at Puente Pier on the western coast of Trinidad and Tobago, the 30-inch wide pipe stretches from an oil riser named Berth 5, 60 feet vertically down into the ocean,
60 pieds.
1,200 feet away from it, and 50 feet back up to the open sea under another oil riser named Berth 6. It was meant to allow ships to transport their reserves to Peria's facilities on land for processing. However, by this point, this particular pipeline was sealed off and hadn't been used since mid-2018. That day, the 5 men on the job were Faisal Kurban, Kazim Ali Jr., Rishi Nagasar, Yusuf Henry, and Christopher Budrum, and they were tasked with heading into an underwater, air-filled habitat at Berth 6, removing a steel cover from the pipe, removing an inflatable plug from inside of it, and installing a connector from the exposed pipe up to the main platform at the Berth 6 riser plant so that they notice inflatable work.
Ah, okay.
While doing so, however, they notice that the inflatable plug sealing the pipe off isn't coming loose. No matter what they try, it appears to be stuck in place. And so, Kazim volunteers to head out to grab a tool to help with dislodging it.
Quelle galère pour se repérer.
Upon heading back down to Berth 6's chamber, Kazim hands the tool off to one of his coworkers who takes another crack at dislodging it. But what they're unaware of is that by doing this, they're unknowingly opening the door to a gargantuan difference in pressure and would very soon find themselves in a dire predicament. Right here, in but a fraction of a second, all 5 men and their equipment are sucked into the pipe, 50 feet down and over 120 feet horizontally through it. And without even a second to process what just happened, they are effectively trapped in a pitch-black cell underwater.
Ils pouvaient pas le prévoir, ça? C'est pas leur métier, genre? Vraie question, hein.
Immediately, they scream for help. They have no idea what the hell just happened, but they're in excruciating pain, and they gotta get out of there. In the next few moments, they collect their thoughts and orient themselves inside the pipe. They explain to each other their injuries, who's behind who, and try to deduce which side of the pipe they're even facing. With hope quickly fading, Chris begins motivating his crew to try their hardest to get out of there, out of that hell they're stuck in. And so, he proposes a plan to link hands with ankles and to inch their way out. It was a 50-50 shot that they'd be heading in the right direction, but at this point, it was one they were willing to take. With no light source, no breathing equipment, no sense of direction, they begin to shuffle their way forward. In the beginning, it seems to be working. However, they quickly realize that sections of this pipe head down to a lower depth and have collected pools of water and oil. Were they to continue their plan, they'd be making their way through fully submerged sections of pipe, a proposition that, with no knowledge of how long it would go on for, was undoubtedly horrifying. With this revelation, Kazim, Rishi, and Yusuf decide to stay back. It's a risk that they just can't stomach, and so Chris reassures them that he'll return with help and continues onward with Faisal by his side. In the following moments, Chris and Faisal encounter two scuba tanks lying in an air pocket. They equip them and make their way through fully submerged, extended portions of pipe.
Ils ont looté avant.
For a while, they were making steady progress. However, on their journey, Faisal had come to an inconvenient revelation. He is excruciatingly exhausted and informs Chris that he simply can't continue. Chris proceeds onward and onward, not even sure if he's heading back to the correct opening. Nevertheless, he holds out hope as critical minutes blur by.
Oh putain, j'aspirais.
Until he finally encounters the pipe's bend. He looks up, and it's open. In complete disbelief, he begins to bang on the pipe, screaming and pleading for anyone to hear him. And by a complete miracle, outside its opening are two rescue divers who open it up, drop a chain down to him, and ultimately save his life.
Ouais, c'était sûr qu'il y avait un mec de survivant parce qu'il n'y aurait pas eu autant de détails, je pense. Dont le loot de bouteilles. Et ouais. Ah. Oui, bon, les autres sont morts.
There's just one problem. Four men are still down there, still alive, and still need help. To his dismay, Chris is told that there's nothing that can be done about them. It's apparently too dangerous to send someone in there to get them, and essentially, all hope for their rescue is lost. In utter disbelief at what he's hearing, Chris even tries to head back in there himself, however, is ultimately prevented from doing so. For 3 excruciating days, the remaining 4 divers are trapped in that pipe, begging and pleading for anyone to help them. Little did they know, though, that nobody was ever coming. Help was never on the way. and the men were, effectively, left to die.
Eh ben super. Putain, j'ai bavé. Carrément, j'ai bavé. B. Salut, B.
As of writing, there's an ongoing legal battle between Peria, the Coast Guard, the contract company LMCS Limited that assigned them to the job, and the victims' families. Each of the accused passing off blame and responsibility for their inaction to a different party. No matter what ends up happening, though, I can only hope that the victims' families are given justice, as according to every report available, it seems that little to no effort was made by the companies or Coast Guard to save them. At all. The incident that occurred on that otherwise ordinary day is one of the most haunting freak accidents one could ever find themselves in. What began as an ordinary job had, out of nowhere, morphed into 3 days of absolute hell. I cannot even begin to fathom the feeling of being stuck in the dark, inside of a claustrophobic chamber 60 feet below sea level, and even more so, bearing the apprehensive hope they all held out for help that never came.
Ok, bon. C'est combien de gens qui sont morts depuis le début de la vidéo? Une vieille. Une mamie. Ah, y'a personne qui est mort là, mais sûrement que si. Oh putain. Oh non, on se tape un truc VHS les gars. Je vais me chier dessus. Oh non. Oh le bâtard, il s'est gardé ça sous le coude. Oh, je vais être traumatisé. Oh non, en plus c'est New Mexico. Ah vas-y, c'est tous des oufs. Oh, il y a trop de bruit là. Oh, je déteste. Oh, il y a un jeu comme ça qu'on fera en stream. Fear to Fathom, je crois.
And a truck driver named Eduardo Cullen has just checked in to Super 8.
Not what you need to hear. Then stay here at Super 8. Clean, comfortable rooms because we inspect them more than any major economy chain. Clean, friendly Super 8. All the room you want.
Walter White, il est où à
His
Buquerque?
night is unremarkable. It's about as ordinary as you can imagine. He cleans himself up, makes himself a hot meal, and just a couple hours later, falls deep into a much-deserved slumber.
Et c'est des images de... C'est pas des images d'archives ça. Bah si, techniquement si. C'est tout le but du truc en fait.
That's what should have happened.
Ouais. Ok, j'avoue, ça m'a mis... Je me chie un peu dessus. Non, ça va, c'est beau.
It's been 2 days, and Eduardo has not checked out. A security guard on duty is sent to check on him. However, a do not disturb placard adorns the handle, and the room is locked from the inside.
No
answer.
Eduardo, you in there, buddy?
still nothing. He's not there, but it's locked. Suspecting that something is off, the guard manages to unlock the door and make his way in. And at first glance, this room is oddly ordinary. On the floor, the blankets lie haphazard. On the table, a handbag, a bracelet, a scale adorned with the name George Martinez, and a photograph appear left behind.
Terrifiante. Photo
Yet,
terrifiante,
once
et
he
c'est du
makes
sang
his
sur le
way to
truc.
the room's rear and towards the bathroom, what awaits him
On va voir ou pas?
is completely unexpected.
J'arrive pas à
Hanging
comprendre.
by a suitcase strap, a badly decomposed woman stares down upon him. And Eduardo
He's nowhere to be found.
is nowhere to be found.
Oh, je suis chaud. Eduardo. Eh, franchement, elle est terrifiante, la meuf. Ou c'est juste moi?
You know, you would think that this photograph would make this woman's identification a breeze.
Elle est déjà morte là, non? Elle est déjà morte là.
However, reality has been quite the contrary. Police have since connected her likeness with the woman in the room, yet to this day, her identity remains exactly how it's been from the day she died. She is unknown, unidentified, a Jane Doe.
Jeanne d'eau, Jeanne de feu.
After an autopsy, it was revealed that she had heroin in her system
Oh,
and had
putain.
passed away by taking her own life. The evidence from the motel room, including the scale with George Martinez written on it, were their only real leads in tracking down her identity. However, frustratingly, nothing ever came from it. No witnesses, no footage, not even Eduardo.
Et genre, ils ont pas de cam? Ils ont pas vu le mec se barrer, genre, du truc. Peut-être que c'était... La meuf était déguisée en mec.
It took 7 entire years before Eduardo's family was contacted. by
Salvador
police,
sur le parking.
and coincidentally, they claimed that he had passed away not long beforehand. Upon being shown this mysterious photograph, however, they revealed that they didn't recognize him at all. This is not Eduardo, and they have never seen this man in their
Attends,
life.
c'est qui il? Attendez, désolé, j'ai eu une absence. C'est qui
It
il?
took 7 entire years before Eduardo's family was contacted by police,
c'est bon.
and they revealed that they didn't recognize him at all.
Et je te jure que là, la photo, on dirait un truc Uncanny Valley, genre, elle est terrifiante.
This is not Eduardo, and they have never seen this man in their life. That day, an entirely new mystery was born. Not only was there ambiguity around the actions of Eduardo and this woman's identity, but now an unnamed male has entered the picture. As the years went on, leads on him were all but non-existent, and all they really had to go on was the connection to that scale. George Martinez was believed to be his identity. However, given how many George Martinezes are out there, tracking this guy down in the 1990s was all but impossible. To this day, this mystery remains completely unsolved, barring one credible tip that authorities received in March of 2021. It's been rumored that her name was Becca and that she flew there from Los Angeles, California. Why she did this, who she came with, and how she wound up in a motel bathroom is still unclear. However, with the rise of the internet and breakthroughs in technology, perhaps someday, her identity can come to light.
Putain, mais on veut des trucs. Je veux le mystère, moi, la résolution du mystère, bordel de merde. Bah super, sur ce, je vais les manger. Mangiare la pizzaiolo. Musique Mossad, 2 points.
It is hauntingly mind-boggling that not a single soul on this earth has been able to identify this woman.
En même temps, elle est pas humaine, hein, je te le dis, hein, vu sa tronche.
Joanna Lopez. Having such hard photographic evidence of someone,
ah, c'était
yet
flippant
knowing
ça.
absolutely nothing about who they actually are and what happened to them is eerily perplexing. What took place on that fateful night may never be known, and to be honest, a lot of it doesn't even make sense. Eduardo was merely stopping for a place to stay, so how did he become so wrapped up in such a tangled web of mystery? Perhaps there was more to this story, something that he wasn't letting on. However, given that he's since passed away, that question will painfully remain unanswered. If you know of or recognize anything about this woman, I implore you to reach out to the Albuquerque PD with information. This is an absolute Hail Mary. However, someone on this earth has to know something about her. For all I know, this case might not go anywhere anytime soon. But
ah mais spoiler, ça ira nulle part.
In the public
Mon
eye,
gars.
in my opinion, that is the key to closure.
Spoiler, ça ira nulle part. Je crois qu'il fait juste son outro.
And that truly means the world to me. With that said, if you guys have any submissions,
On a vu pas mal de trucs de lui, non? Petscope, on n'avait pas fini, je crois. Ah, mais il a fait une deuxième vidéo? On se fera la suite de Petscope. Je crois que j'ai pas les VOD. Prochaine fois, on se fera un arc Petscope. Ouais, Pet Shop, j'allais dire. C'est pas la même chose, quoi. C'était trop perché. Putain, le Sharingan. Bref, il y a plein de trucs. Mais les Disturb Thing, on se les est pas mal faites en jouant à FF7 la dernière fois. Donc, bon, il reste pas mal de trucs sur sa chaîne. Sur des trucs flippants sur internet. On va en trouver quoi. Bon, sur ce, je vais aller manger. Et bisous, merci pour le stream, c'était cool. Dommage pour Pokémon qui nous a niqué la deuxième partie, quoi. On aurait pu faire tellement plus de Shiny, mais bon. Le jeu est une merde. Son online est à chier, donc voilà quoi. Des bisous à demain. Je sais pas encore ce qu'on va faire demain. Ah, peut-être qu'on peut jouer à Pokémon Rando. De toute façon, il y a plein de trucs. Il y a FF9 Rando, il y a Pokémon Rando. Et on peut faire du LOL. On peut faire du Isaac. On peut faire plein de trucs. Des bisous, merci, au revoir.